even now I'm focusing a lot about in terms of the legacy. My big thing now is how we can leverage the AI and the technology development that we are having that is
Yep.
really transformational. This is going to change the way in the workforce and in business. And how can we make sure that we are leveraging that technology to a better future?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we just react to this, it's going to be just another thing that is going to create more burnout in the workforce.
Hmm.
So it's a lot about the AI and the future of work. So that
Yeah.
is really important for me at the moment.
Welcome to Oh Shit, I'm Dead, the Legacy Podcast, the show where we ask the big question: what will they say about you when you're gone? Each week, we sit down with icons, trailblazers, and legends in the making to dive into their stories, scandals, and the legacies they're leaving behind. And now, here's your host, the video godfather himself, Lou Bortone.
Hey, welcome back to Oh Shit, I'm Dead, the Legacy Podcast. My guest today is a longtime friend and associate, Ana Melikian. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Now about you.
Pretty good. Just plugging away at this, what Prince called it, this crazy game called life. So anyway, we talk about legacy on this podcast, and we've known each other for a really long time, but there's a lot I still don't know about you. When I say legacy, what does that mean to you? What does that bring up for you?
Really, what we leave behind, I think, is a great term that make us think that after we are gone, stays that we can say that bringing back Steve Jobs, what is our bite in this big apple?
Yeah. It's funny because I know we were in that public speaking program together, and I still remember you talking about your grandmother and the impact that she had on you. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, some people, I think we always have these people that influence us at different times in our lives and leave their legacy toward us.
Yep.
And my husband grandmother is one of these people. And I met her as an adult. I met her, she was at the time 97 years old.
Wow.
And I had the privilege of spending great quality time with her during the last 3 years of her life, till she was 100. And I always like to say, we still managed to do a great party for her 100th birthday, and she was all enjoying every moment of it. And
Yeah.
she got the mic and make sure that certain jokes were told. And one of the ones that she's very known for is the one that she always say, I don't know, God must have forgot my number. And I'm waiting for his phone call, but it's never happening. So she was an inspiration, and she had a story of struggling because she was a survivor on the 1915 in Turkey. She was living with her family in Turkey, an Armenian family in Turkey at the time, and they suffered the Armenian genocide. Only she and her mother survived of a family. I think they were about 10 people, and they were driving to the desert, and then she ended up in Romania. But seeing that with all the struggles that she had, and then coming here to the US as a picture bride. She didn't use was at the time Armenian people here will see pictures or say, and then they will come over and they will could decide if they want to stay on a lot of pressure, let's be honest. And she came to the United States as a picture bride. She decided to stay. She had my husband's father when she was quite young, and then the Great Depression.
Oh my gosh.
And then after the Great Depression, finally they were managed to join money, her and her husband, to do a trip to visit the old country. They went back to Turkey to see relatives that were still there. She came home with a casket. The husband died of heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
all these struggles, all these things. And when you meet a person that you know all this, and she was with a great sense of humor, always trying to entertain, always try to see the good side in life. It's everything in perspective.
Yeah. Wow. Talk about resilience. And the interesting thing is, it sounds like you only really knew her for 3 years, but what an impact she had on you.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I know. Parents and grandparents are never with us long enough. I remember my grandmother. I remember speaking Italian when I would stay over their house and everything. And their family had 13 children. I'm like, oh my God, that's something. Anyway, so tell me a little bit about, like I said, we've known each other forever, but I never really asked you about your upbringing and when you came to America and how that all came about. Folks can, from your accent, you're from Portugal, correct?
Yes. I'm originally from Portugal, born and raised there. Always had the travel bug. As soon as I could, I was traveling to other countries, but this was in my late teens. Initially to Spain and then I went to England in this Erasmus program that we can do a semester or 1 year of college in another country in Europe. And I went to the north of England. Then from there, I did my master program in Spain, and then back to Portugal, and I was traveling. I was in academia. So what we do in academia is traveling to conferences, present papers and posters and presentations and all those kind of things. So I was traveling a lot that way. And I came here to the United States. First time was 98 and then in 2001, and was in that visit in 2001 to a conference to present a workshop in a conference here in Phoenix, Arizona. I met the person that a couple of years later became my husband.
Oh, wow.
That is why I moved from Europe to the United States, Phoenix, Arizona. That now is my home for 21 years.
Wow. That's amazing. For some reason, I thought you'd come here a lot earlier. So my kids were born in 98. So you said.
First time that I did.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. And I know you go back from time to time. And I think too, that travel is part of our legacy and what we teach our kids and try to show them the world. And I came from a little town where some people like never left the state. I'm like, guys, there's a big world out there. So that's really cool. When it comes to legacy, I know you're one of the smartest and most wonderful people I know. How do you want to be remembered by folks down the road?
That I try to do the best with what I have and really try to leave this world a little bit better. I think if all of us, I like that perspective. I like the thing of making a difference. How can we live the place that we are a little bit better than when we arrived?
Yeah, that's great. And I know you also had some health scares. We've been friends since then. Did that change your perspective on your philosophy about life, having gone through all that?
Absolutely. So it's not made me more aware of the limited time that we have. I usually, so I had several bouts with cancer. The first one was in 2016. And I always say to people that the only condition that we need to meet in order to die is being alive. And thank God all of us here at the present moment can fulfill that first condition.
Yep.
And having a diagnosis like cancer really brings things into perspective. Another thing, a way I like to compare to people is like when we are cleaning up the kitchen or cleaning up a cupboard and we look to something and we look to the validity date. Oh, already
Yeah.
almost done or gone. And then and seeing a diagnosis like cancer is as looking to our validity date and what I'm going to do with the time that I have left, whatever that time is. Because it lasts after our validity date, but puts things in perspective and brings clarity. When I'm my background, the PhD is in psychology. I'm all about positive psychology. I'm always also very aware of the toxic positivity. I don't like to romanticize these kind of challenges. You speak about transforming lemons into lemonade. Love that. But sometimes life gives us watermelons, big things.
Yeah.
And it's not what are the blessings there. I like more, that is a little bit too much for me. I like what are the learnings there. I'm all about that because I think we can learn from almost everything in life. And yes, the learnings that I have for having facing that the validity date through the cancer diagnosis are significant. And that is where I want to make sure that part of my legacy is about you don't have to live something like that. You can learn vicariously through other people's experiences.
Yeah.
And my big thing from the first round with cancer was realizing that I was delaying gratification a little bit too much. I was working and very proud. I was like that. I don't know. Do you remember the Duracell, the little bunny, the
Yeah.
bunny with the little drum for the batteries that keep drumming away, going and outlasting everybody else? I was proud of being like that little bunny. I was working hard and outlasting everybody else and be so proud of it. It was my badge of honor.
Yeah.
And I realized that, yes, it's great that we have that capacity of working hard, but there are more things in life and we can make a bigger impact in the things that we want to make the difference and to leave that legacy when we take better care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was that first big learning from all my ordeal with cancer, realizing I can work smart. It's the old thing, working smarter, not harder. And is really possible to be more strategic, make a bigger impact than just running around, drumming our little drum, and sometimes not making an impact.
Yeah. One of my old bosses used to say, don't confuse activity with accomplishment because they're not the same. And the other thing that I think we fall into, I don't know if you have, but like the old, I'll be happy when.
Yeah, absolutely. When I finish the project, then when
Yeah.
I hit that number in the income, then I can go or do that. There is a lot of that false thinking that then we can be happy, then we can feel fulfillment, then, and the secret is now. Now is what we have.
Yeah.
And yes, in psychology, there is a very famous experiment that is called the marshmallow experiment. They put these kids, young kids, 6, 7, I don't know now exactly the age, but were young kids in a room with a one-way unidirectional mirror,
Wow.
so with observers in the other side and the videotaping. And then they have the researcher with the kid and they go, oh, I have to go outside. And they have like candies and marshmallow in the table. And there was a marshmallow, simplifying the experiment. Imagine a marshmallow and the experiment that is there with the kid, the person is adult is saying, I have to go out. If you do not eat the marshmallow until I come back, I will give you 2. If you eat, no problem. But wait, I will give you 2 when I'm back. They went out and then they were serving the kids, and some kids were eating immediately, some kids were waiting more, some kids were stepping into their hands and trying to start themselves. And so some kids ate the marshmallow, others managed to resist or wait more time until the adult came back to the room. And then many years later, this is a long longitudinal study. So many years later, they followed these same kids and they found out that the ones that were able to delay gratification, wait to have a bigger reward, the person come back, the adult come back to have the second marshmallow, were more successful in life.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely true. We know that in psychology, but we can fall in the opposite. That is where I was.
Yeah.
We accumulate all the marshmallows and we are very good in delaying gratification. We are not enjoying, it's not accumulating marshmallows by the sake of accumulating marshmallows. Once in a while, we have to enjoy the marshmallow.
I eat the damn marshmallow.
Put a little bit chocolate and 2 crackers on it. It's even better to the nice, how do you call it, is the s'mores.
That's
Then I learned that is an American thing. We don't have that in Europe, and I love it. The chocolate combination is absolutely delicious, and enjoy it.
Yep. Yep. That's interesting. So you had kind of a psychology background, and a lot of the folks I talk to on this podcast in particular are solopreneurs or entrepreneurs or own small business. So how did you go? Did you come from a corporate background, or have you been a solopreneur for
So after finish, or while I was still doing my PhD, I start teaching. First in the master program, I finished the master program, I start teaching there. Then I moved back to Portugal and I start teaching in a university, in a private university. So it was a big company. I was one of the persons there. So I have that background in academia. If you consider university system corporations, that in many ways they are, I was in that way in the corporate world and navigating the loops of because I was also helping one of the VPs there in some program development and curriculum development. That was an amazing experience starting my professional life. 100 a room with 100 kids, 18-year-olds was an amazing experience. And then working at the level of the C-suite, one of the VPs in the program developments that they were doing in that institution at the time. So it was a great background to start with. Then when I moved here to the United States, I had to reinvent myself. And that is where I learned, I can have my own business. I can work from home using the phone or the computer. I was wanting to start a family, was the ideal thing. And this was back in 2010.
Yeah, that's cool. So you feel like you used your psychology background in your business?
Absolutely. Most like we met for the first time in one of the programs of Michael Port, the author, for people that are listening, of the book Yourself Solid. And he has this saying that most business problems are personal problems in disguise.
I still remember Michael saying that. Yeah. And you have a really successful and popular podcast. You want to talk a little bit about that and how that came about?
So Mindset Zone, that now I have a book about that too. I finally finished and wrote and published the book that is with the same name, Mindset Zone. And when I started the podcast more than 10 years ago, so it was in 2014, and that was a great time to start podcasting. Let's be honest. It was not less crowded than today world in podcasting. And was a way of spreading a message and helping people. That was my intention. And at the same time, I hesitate a lot and even almost didn't do it because, was just the sound. Mine is an audio podcast, just sound. And I have a strong accent. It's the reality of the thing. And I know that I can be an effective communicator, mainly when I'm in person with people. I'm a speaker. One of the things that I do is being a speaker. And at the same time, I know that is a barrier for certain people to understand me. So the audio is with an accent will be the best format, possibly video. I know that when people see me through the video, through in person, they can understand me better because they have more information than just my voice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I realize is that why not? Why not? And there is absolutely always a group of people that, in my case, because of my accent, because of my style and approach, will never connect and receive the message. But there is also a group of people that, because of the accent, are going to pay a little bit more attention to what I have to say. And that focus of their attention will allow them to absorb the message and reflect on the message in a different way that is meaningful for them. And what I fully realized was that was enough of those people to make my podcast a success. And I'm still, after 10 years, in the top 1% of all podcasting.
That's
So,
amazing. Yeah.
not bad.
And you're like one of the old guard, one of the OG podcasters from way back. Do you have any thoughts about why, other than consistency, why the podcast has been so successful?
I think being an indie independent podcaster, and now there is much more. We have big, I would say, big production companies behind podcasts that allows.
O'Brien and all these Joe Rogan and all these big companies, right?
Yes, and NPR with all the CEO and so many. There is now a lot. I keep in my indie independent kind of realm and allow us to have more candid conversations. My podcast has interviews like the one that we are doing here. And I also do solo episodes. And yes, I have my thought process on bringing the guests for the interviews. I have my thought process and preparing when I do the solo episodes. But it's a lot about a good idea with a good point and having a conversation about or speaking about that. I don't overproduce afterwards. And I think in this world where there's so much content, people still like that raw content that is not overproduced. That more candid kind of conversation and that more candid sharing of a stream of consciousness that is a solo episode around a certain topic that people enjoy when they are listening to the podcast. In that conversation, I almost imagine that we are having a nice meal and just speaking about, and somebody ears drop there. It's always so fascinating. And in the solo episode is almost a conversation that I'm having with the listeners.
Yeah.
And people like that.
And it's coming back to legacy. It's also a great thing to leave behind because you have, like, whether your book is part of your legacy, podcast, videos, whatever it is. And many years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this because podcasting or video or TV was just for the folks who had the platform or the network. And now it's completely open to anybody. So that's fun. And one other question I like to ask folks before we let you go is, within all your experience, and maybe you have a different perspective on this, but what advice would you give your younger self, like your 20-year-old self, knowing what you know today?
Do not overthink. And I still do that. I still overthink. Even now, I'm focusing a lot about in terms of the legacy. My big thing now is how we can leverage the AI and the technology development that we are having that is really transformational. This is going to change the way in the workforce and in business. And how can we make sure that we are leveraging that technology to a better future?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we just react to this, it's going to be another thing that is going to create more burnout in the workforce. So it's a lot about the AI and the future of work. So that is really important for me at the moment. And I was overthinking it.
Yeah, but I love Doug.
Yeah, so I was thinking, should I, because I'm not a technologist, I'm a humanist. As a humanist, as somebody with a background in psychology, with a PhD in psychology, with 20 years of experience working in the human potential arena, I have an important voice in this conversation.
Absolutely.
So I'm doing much more speaking about it. I'm planning to write a book about it.
Wow.
Own that perspective and not, waiting 5 years until I feel that I'm an expert. And then, no, I can leverage the things that I'm an expert that is the human side of the equation.
Yeah.
And have a voice for that I think, because now is the moment to have the conversation. Otherwise, it's so easy to arrive to that point that we see somebody else doing and we go, oh, I had
Mhm.
an idea before. I want to say, oh, I have done that.
Yeah. And I love that perspective you bring to it because AI is so big right now. And you and I both talk about AI like it's a tsunami, or as the lady on White Lotus would say, tsunami. And you can either be washed away by it or ride the wave. And I like that you talk about, because it isn't just tech, it's you're bringing the human side to it. And we think, oh, AI is going to save us all kinds of time. But really, it's just one more thing to add stress because, oh my God, now I've got to learn ChatGPT. Now I've got to learn this. Now I've got to learn that. And it becomes like overwhelming. So I love that you bring it back to the humanist side.
Absolutely. I call it, this is the AI 100-foot wave that we are now navigating. And I bring Portugal, my country of origin, to the table too, because we have a place where we have 100-foot waves and they can be surfed. So it's possible to leverage all this energy in a positive way.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ana Melikian. It took me 7 years to get to pronounce your name correctly, but I finally figured it out. And I'm so glad that we are in the same world and friends. And it's a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Oh Shit, I'm Dead, the Legacy Podcast. Please subscribe and tell your friends about the podcast, and do it now while you're still alive and kicking. Check out other episodes at ohshitimdead.com.